You're up 2 games in the third set against a guy who looks like he could be your nephew, and he floats a soft, high forehand right into your strike zone. The kind of ball you use to crush without thinking twice. The kind you'd have put away 100 times over the years. You take a big swing and it dies in the net. He doesn't even celebrate. He just jogs back to the baseline like that was expected. Your elbow gives a little twinge on the follow-through. And here's the thing. It wasn't your age that lost you that point. It was one of 7 habits in your swing that nobody ever corrected. Today, we're fixing all 7, and not one of them needs a younger elbow. I'm Tim. I've been playing and coaching club-level tennis for about 30 years now, which means I've had every one of these habits myself at some point, usually more than once, and usually the hard way. This channel exists for players like us, the ones with a little less shoulder turn than we used to have, a recovery time that isn't what it was, maybe an old injury we're managing, who still want real pop on that forehand. And I'll say this up front. I'm not going to tell you to go do 6 months of forearm strengthening exercises. If your swing is loading your elbow wrong, stronger forearms just get you to the same injury a little slower. They don't stop it. They just delay it. We're fixing the swing first, and these fixes work whether you're a weekend player just trying to stay in the point, or you're grinding through a league season trying to actually win matches. Number 1 is loosening the death grip. Most players over 50 grip the racket tight through the entire swing, especially right at contact, because it feels like control. It feels safe. But squeezing the handle that hard fires up the same wrist muscles that attach right at the outside of your elbow, the exact spot that flares up when tennis elbow starts. The tighter the grip, the more that muscle group has to work. Every single shot, rally after rally, for as long as you're on court, and it adds up fast over a long set. Here's the adjustment. Stay relaxed through your backswing, firm up your grip just for the instant of contact, then let it soften again right after. Try it for 10 forehands in a row and notice your forearm. It should feel loose afterward, not pumped up and burning. The only thing to watch for is going so loose that the racket twists in your hand on a mishit. So there's still a little tension there, just not a death grip. If your elbow has been talking to you lately, start here. Out of all 7, this is the one you'll feel working the fastest. Number 2, stop reaching for late balls with just your arm. We've all done this. The ball gets on you a little quicker than expected, and instead of moving your feet, you just reach. Your arm and wrist do the catching up while your feet stay planted. It feels like the efficient option in the moment, since moving your feet again seems like more effort than it's worth for one ball. It is not efficient at all. When your body stops moving and your arm keeps swinging to make up the difference, your forearm extensor muscles are working overtime. And that's exactly the pattern that shows up more in recreational players than in experienced ones, forehand after forehand. What actually fixes it is letting your feet solve the timing problem instead of your arm. If the ball is coming in late, take one more step back. Or honestly, just let it go and reset for the next point. Your body should never stop moving before your racket does. A good way to check this on video is to watch your back foot. If it's already planted while your arm is still swinging to catch up, that's the leak right there. Don't overcorrect into always backing off balls, though. You still want to step in and attack the short ones when they come. Number 3, start your turn earlier, not faster. Here's something worth knowing about getting older. Research on reaction time shows it's not that older adults hesitate more, it's that the actual preparation for a movement takes a little longer than it used to. Which means the answer isn't to react quicker, because you can't just decide to do that no matter how badly you want to. What works instead is starting earlier. Most players wait to see where the ball bounces before they begin turning their shoulders, and then they're rushing the whole rest of the prep. Instead, start your shoulder turn the moment your opponent makes contact with the ball, not when it bounces on your side. Treat it as an early read rather than a late reaction. If you're still turning your shoulders as the ball is crossing the net, you're already a full beat behind, and no amount of effort in that last second fixes that. This one matters even more if you're newer to the game or coming back after years away, since you haven't built up that instinct for reading the ball early yet, and it just takes more deliberate practice on a ball machine or with a friend feeding balls. Just don't turn early and then freeze waiting. Keep the rhythm moving into your swing so the early turn actually helps you instead of stalling you out. Number 4, let your legs start the swing, not your arm. A lot of us stand pretty tall and swing mostly from the shoulder and arm now because bending the knees and driving off the legs feels like more than we want to ask of our bodies these days. Totally understandable, especially late in a long match when everything already feels heavier than it did in the first set. But when the legs aren't doing their share of the work, the arm and upper body end up compensating. And that compensation is tied to both lower power output and a documented connection to elbow strain. The good news is this adjustment is small. A gentle, controlled knee bend and a light push off your back leg into contact. This is not a deep athletic squat. It's just enough movement to get your legs into the chain instead of sitting out of the play entirely. You should feel the push starting from the ground up, not from your shoulder down. If you've had knee surgery or you're dealing with arthritis, keep this range small and pain-free. This is not a leg day exercise. It's a subtle shift in weight, and even a small amount goes a long way toward taking pressure off your arm over the course of a match. Before tip 5, if any of that just landed for you, if you felt that little "oh, that's been me" moment, that's exactly why this channel exists. We're not here for players trying to outmuscle 25-year-olds. We're here for players working smarter with the body they actually have right now. If that's you, stick around and subscribe. There's more of this coming. All right, back to it. Number 5, free up your mid-back, not just your shoulder. When your upper back feels stiff, and for a lot of us it does, the natural instinct is to try to squeeze more rotation out of the shoulder joint alone. But your mid-back, your thoracic spine, is really the transmission that connects your legs to your swing. When it can't rotate the way it should, your shoulder and elbow end up taking on load they were never built to handle by themselves, shot after shot. Here's what helps. A short rotation drill before you play, either seated or kneeling, gently rotating your trunk side to side to unlock a few extra degrees of turn before you ever step on court. A minute or 2 of this before you warm up is usually enough to notice a difference. A quick way to check where you stand is to plant your feet and see how far you can rotate your chest toward a fence post behind you. The more turn you find there beforehand, the more you'll usually find in the actual swing, without forcing anything. Just don't try to force extra rotation mid-swing by twisting harder in the moment. That's compensation, not real mobility, and it tends to end up right back at your elbow by the end of the set. Number 6, drop your string tension. This one has nothing to do with your body and everything to do with your equipment, but it matters just as much. Plenty of players are still stringing their racket at the same tension they used decades ago, or playing a stiff polyester strung tight, because that's what felt like control back then. Lower string tension lets the ball sit into the strings a little longer on contact, which absorbs more of that shock and vibration before it ever reaches your wrist and elbow. Higher tension, especially with a stiffer string, sends more of that impact straight up your arm instead, swing after swing. This one's easy. Drop your tension a few pounds from wherever you're at now, or, if you're on polyester, consider switching toward a multi-filament or synthetic gut hybrid, which naturally absorbs more of that shock on its own. You'll know it's working when the ball feels like it sits on the strings for a beat instead of cracking off them. Just don't go so low that the bed feels mushy and you lose your feel for where the ball's going. It's a small, easy adjustment, not a total overhaul. And your stringer can talk you through it in about a minute. Number 7, size up your grip. Most players are playing with a grip that's a touch too small, usually because it's the size they started with years ago and never questioned since. even as their hand and their swing have both changed over the decades. But grip size directly affects how hard your wrist extensor muscles have to work during the swing, and those are the same muscles most involved in tennis elbow. There's a real, clearly measurable sweet spot for grip diameter that reduces the force your hand needs to produce just to control the racket. The adjustment is simple: move up one grip size, or if you don't want to buy a new frame, just add an overgrip wrap and test it for a few sessions before deciding either way. You'll know it's right when your fingers aren't overlapping into your palm, and you're not squeezing extra hard just to keep the racket steady through contact. Just don't overcorrect into a grip that's too big, because that forces even more grip effort to control the head, and you're right back where you started, just with a bigger handle. That's 7 habits, and I wouldn't try to fix all of them the next time you're on court. Pick 2 or 3 that felt like they were describing you specifically, and take just those to your next session. Get comfortable with them before you stack on more, and let the rest wait their turn. But if there's one thing worth carrying off this video, it's this: almost none of what's costing you power or costing you your elbow is actually about age. It's about a swing that quietly drifted into compensation over the years, your arm picking up work, your legs and your back stopped doing, your grip tightening because it felt safer than it actually was. None of that is your body failing you. It's just habit filling in for mechanics nobody ever went back and corrected. So tell me down in the comments, which one of these 7 was you? The one you read and thought, that's exactly my forehand.